Topping today's news, police continue their investigation into Sunday morning's homicide on West Carmichael. Also today, officers were called to Bahama, where a female employee was reportedly stabbed multiple times by a man believed to be her ex-boyfriend. Free National Movement Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands continues to apply pressure on the government's performance and its diplomatic week, and all Bahamian diplomats have gathered in Freeport, Grand Bahama. This is your JCN Evening News. I'm Jcn Saunders. It is a pleasure to have you join us. Senior Vice President of Bahama, Robert Sands, has confirmed that an incident took place at the resort this morning that has resulted in one of the staff members being taken to hospital and a police investigation underway. Reports are that a female employee believed to be working in the housekeeping section was attacked by a male and stabbed multiple times. The male is believed to be an ex-boyfriend who is an ex-employee at the resort as well. There were conflicting reports on the condition of the victim as police search for the suspect. Police continue to investigate that murder that happened on Carmichael Road West. That was yesterday morning. Initial reports indicate that shortly before 8 a.m., the man was found near Unison Road with multiple gunshot injuries. Police Superintendent Dino Josie shared the following detail.
Officers from the Western and Carmichael Division responded. When they arrived, officers saw no signs of life, but there was apparent gunshot wounds about this body. We don't have a nationality at this time. We have an age grouping between late 30s, early 40s. So we're unable to say if he's known to the police. But there are CCTVs not so far from this area. Police are looking at them now to try and find out what happened. We need to know why and when. We know where. We need to know why and when.
This was the 105th murder for the year. There were 110 homicides recorded last year. Anyone with information about this particular incident, you're urged to contact 911, 919, or the Criminal Investigations Department at 502-9991. Further, if you wish to remain anonymous, you can call Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS, 328-8477 in Miami. A recent study conducted by a University of the Bahamas student reveals that a middle-class family of 4 needs over $10,000 monthly to sustain a basic lifestyle, with New Providence at $10,200, Grand Bahama at $10,100. The minimal cost differences arises from food and non-housing expenses being $350 higher in Grand Bahama, while housing and utility costs are $450 lower. Additionally, working-class families need about $5,000 in New Providence, $6,600 on Grand Bahama for the month. The annual income required for a decent middle-class lifestyle is estimated at around $122,400 on New Providence, $121,200 on Grand Bahama. This study highlights the critical issues for wage and living cost policies in the country. Chairman of the Free National Movement, Dr. Dwayne Sands, says after 3 long years of the Davis administration, things are still tough for Bahamian citizens. In a voice message released today, he emphasized that $100 can't get you what it could have in the past, and he blames it on the Davis administration and the decisions they have made.
After 3 long years of the PLP in office, $100 simply can't buy you what it used to. Before the end of the week, money running out for plenty of people. Part of that $100 going to pay outrageous BPL bills, which have gone sky high because of the bad decisions by Brave Davis and the PLP. Another part of the $100 going to pay much higher rents, which are higher and higher under the PLP. Part of the $100 got to go to pay for the higher cost of food and groceries. And we still got that 10% VAT that the PLP put on breadbasket items, the most basic and commonly purchased food items, which are now more expensive. And the PLP still refusing to remove VAT on these foods to help bring down costs.
Dr. Sands also says the people are afraid due to the high rates of crime. He was also critical of the high cost of electricity, despite promises that the cost of electricity would be going down.
And people scared. They dead scared because of all the crime and murder all over the place that keeps getting worse because they really don't have no crime plan. The PLP government should consider waiving the 10% reconnection fee for BPL, just to help people out. Meanwhile, now they bragging about the recent unemployment numbers, but the numbers ain't telling what's going on the ground.
Dr. Sands also addressed the issue of unemployment, which fell from 9.9% at the end of 2023 to 8.7% first half of 2024. However, he says unemployment is still a big problem in the country, noting that youth unemployment has risen to 19%. And finally, in this segment, it's Diplomatic Week, the time when Bahamian diplomats from around the world converge along with other members of the local diplomatic corps to regroup and strategize. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Fred Mitchell, explains why the occasion is important.
And the idea of Diplomatic Week is to bring all of our diplomats from across the world together to discuss issues of policy and administration. That is to give diplomats who are accredited to the Bahamas, whether in Nassau or from capitals like Havana, Kingston, Washington, Ottawa, Mexico City, and New York or others farther afield, the opportunity to come to the Bahamas and interact with our government officials to understand our policies and programs. The meeting is being held in Freeport, Grand Bahama, so that the international community can see the city of Freeport and the island of Grand Bahama as it is recovering from Hurricane Dorian 5 years on. So when we talk about climate change, we have an example front and center to show them of what it means and that the issue is existential for us.
The Foreign Affairs Minister said this particular meeting of diplomats will have two main areas of focus on the agenda, which have been led by Prime Minister Philip Davis.
You should know that the charge of the Prime Minister is that climate change is the number one foreign policy issue for our country. This means that all the resources and talents of the diplomatic missions from across the world should be fully employed in and around that issue. Secondly, behind that issue of what is being called climate justice is now the issue of reparatory justice, or the issue of reparations for slavery. Next year in March, all CARICOM countries will gather in London with the British government to discuss the issue of reparations for slavery. The idea is that a report on reparations should be commissioned, and following that report, our Prime Minister's hope that there is a summit of CARICOM heads of state with the British Prime Minister, or heads of government with the British Prime Minister, and will be convened sometime next year to discuss the report that comes out of the study on the issue.
Again, this is the third time Diplomatic Week is being held in Freeport, Grand Bahama, with the first in 2005 and then again in 2016. The week of activities began today. They will run until Friday, November 8th. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break. We'll be right back after these commercials.